Welcome to IVRPA's first webinar of 2025. My name is Scott Whitty. I have the honor of serving as IVRPA's president, along with an exceptional, dedicated board of directors, including Jeff Handley, today's presenter. IVRPA, the International VR Professionals Association, is the only international association dedicated to helping our members and the wider VR, XR community of creators be more successful. These webinars present content that is difficult to find elsewhere, such as behind-the-scenes looks at extraordinary VR projects like Virtual Yosemite, the Smithsonian Virtual Tours, and the Tuskegee Airmen 360 video. We introduce you to new markets like VR training and digital twins, and we can get into the weeds, such as how to add analytics to your tours and use the information to improve your projects or give clients real-world numbers about effectiveness of what you offer. Today's presentation, or today's webinar, presents information that will help you start and grow an XR business. Most of us here are creatives. We love to create, but to keep creating, we need to make money, need to run a business. That can be very foreign territory to many of us, especially when getting started. A couple decades in, if you survive, you are likely to think, if only I knew then what I know now, I could have been so much farther ahead, so much faster. Well, prepare to know now what you may otherwise have wished to know years from now. And if you're already doing okay, I'll bet you will gain insights and perspectives that will help you do better still. This webinar is being recorded and will be available to paid members on the IVRPA website, along with all past webinars. If you aren't currently a member, I encourage you to join IVRPA. It really is a great value. There will be a Q&A session at the end. You can ask questions using the chat or Q&A function. You can also click the raised hand button and ask in person. These are all found at the bottom of your screen. When you write something in chat, be sure to click the blue Send To drop-down above your text and select who you want to see your message, everybody or just the people running the webinar. Now, for the main act. Jeff, take it away.
All right. Well, that was a great introduction, and thank you to everyone who's watching live. This is really exciting. So a little bit about me. I've been shooting professional panoramic photography for 27 years, and I've been incorporated for 25. And I've been wanting to share as I get a little older now, share with all of you guys about, what I do and what's made me successful, where I can continue to do this and get paid and really lead a very happy 360 life. So as the title of the webinar is have you considered a 360 life? And wanted to point out, in a lot of the different slides that you'll be seeing today, there's a QR code that you can go ahead and use your phone with, scan it, launch it, and it's a tour. So specifically, this slide here is taken from the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, and this is Cape Royal. And if you scan the QR code, you can see the 360 panorama exactly from where I'm, setting up my camera there. And this was taken in 2011. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So I've broken it down into 4 different segments. Basically, let's get back here. Oh, back here. So we have what is a 360 life and who am I? So I'll dive into that a little bit more in depth as we go through it. The next slide is going to be my 360 niche framework. And what that means is all the things that I've done through the last 27 years to come to this point where I feel like I have the best system to offer. And that's why I'm so excited to share with you all, because What I've been doing lately, especially in the last year, has been accumulation of all of this experience, and it's making me money. It's been fun, and in fact, I have like on top of getting ready for the webinar, I've had 3 gigs that have just kind of come together, and it's so much fun. So I really, really, really love what I do. All right, so next slide is, oop, guess I sorry about that, guys. I'm using a different. So there you go. That was the framework. So next one is what cameras do I use? I'll kind of explain what I've been using now, what are my mainstays, etc. And also the software that I use to create the imagery. And then the last is my 3 strategies, where I'm going to share with you basically the secret sauce on what I do, how I do it, and why it's working so well.
Jeff, could you click off the turn on reactions dialog at the top of your screen?
Oh, sure. Okay. Okay. I think that's gone. So, okay. So what is a 360 life? I've separated it into 3 aspects. Basically, what works, what's fun, and what makes money. So starting off with what works. Kind of had to think about this, and it'll be interesting to see from maybe your comments what you guys would want to chime in on. But what I find is what works for me is having, well, first of all, I'm a still 360 photographer and have been. And I've had a lot of different cameras over the years, and I've settled on this one that you see here in the screen. It's a Nikon ZFC. It's an amazing camera. I get amazing imagery from it, but really it could be, it could be anything, whatever tools you use in order to capture, you know, you know, um, basically whatever you want to capture that you could sell to a client to help them advertise their business, and specifically in the area of Google. That's kind of where I've landed, just for the prime reason that Google is the yellow pages of our day now. For those of you guys remember, you couldn't be in a business if you didn't have a yellow pages ad. So this is Google, and it's very, very easy to approach a business and any business that has anything to share or show. And so, in any case, what works is basically being able to capture imagery for Google Maps. Okay, what's fun? What's fun is taking your camera out, with you all everywhere. In fact, it's funny, my group of friends that I hang out with, I'm always shooting, they call me the 360 guy. And I'm always out, taking pictures at restaurants of people, kind of having them hold up their beers, hanging out. And what's really fun was the fact that I was in Flagstaff, Arizona for New Year's Eve. And any case, you'll see me here on the left wearing a tuxedo onesie. It was about 10 degrees. As you can see, I don't have any hair, so it was a little bit chilly that night. And then when the owner said, "Hey, you want to shoot a picture up on the or a 360 from the roof?" I'm like, "Great." Didn't grab my hat, so I'm basically standing there freezing. But look at this photo. And again, I really encourage you to take a picture of the QR code or launch the app or the tour, because this particular tour, I actually have a 360 here that you see from the roof, along with if you click through it, there's navigation. It'll take you to a street view photo where I'm shooting from the street view of the hotel. So, anyways, that was great. That was fun. Didn't make a dime off of this thing, but that's the thing that I want to invoke with having a 360 life, is that um, it's a balance. You should have fun doing all this stuff, and I'm assuming a lot of you guys do. How can you not have fun being creative and getting paid for it? But anyways, it's just been a great experience so far. So let's clicking on then. So what makes money? Well, this was incredible. Back in 2010, I made my way to the Venetian and in Las Vegas. And in any case, I was really interested in showing the people, the advertising force behind the Venetian, what I could do with a 360 camera. And the picture on your left is the one I shot of the Venetian. Basically, and just get a quick story, I didn't know who to talk to, so I picked up a house phone. I asked if I could talk to someone in marketing, and this gentleman came down by the name of Chris Stacy and met with me. And I told him what I could do, and we didn't shoot it that day, but he goes, "This sounds great, something we would love to use for our website." They brought me back. I was there at the Venetian for a week and I got to shoot all these great tours. Well, the photo here on the left, the virtual tour on the left, and again, I would urge you guys to do a screen capture of to take, use the QR code to look at the tour. But anyways, this was so awesome. I mean, I love it, but it was so awesome that the owner of the hotel at that time was Sheldon Adelson. He owned a lot of hotels. And he saw the tour. I never met with him, but he saw the tour and he was so delighted. He said, we need to get this guy to our sister property in China, which is in Macau. So the image on your right is from the Venetian that's built in Macau, China, which is the exact replica of the one in Las Vegas, just in a different country. So, in any case, I share this with you because these two photos, and then hundreds of photos I shot for the Venetia and the Sands and all their other properties, was a lot of money, and it was really, really fun. And I got to travel, to China and to Macau, and it was such an adventure. So again, my 360 life, it's what works, the camera that you use, to capture anything for the business. What's fun, using a camera for things where you don't get paid, but you get to do experiences like to be on the top of a roof, looking down at 12,000 people celebrating New Year's, or what makes money. And these two tours here, from the Venetian in Las Vegas to the Venetian in Macau. All right, so who am I? I'm Jeff, just existing for fun. And I think the name fits perfectly for me. In fact, when I meet other people who are named Jeff, I say, "Hey, do you know what that stands for?" And only one person in, my lifetime has said, no, that's not for me. And I was like, might need to change your name. But in any case, these are a series of business cards over the years. Again, 27 years of doing this, starting off with my card that I made on my color printer, when I was starting with iPix, all the way through to shooting with Google. So anyways, kind of fun. One thing is I do have this interesting, and Daniel here will see it, but the picture of me in Iceland, just a great kind of photo. And we were in there for the IVRPA conference in 2013. And any case, just a really fun experience. So. Okay, so photos without film. Can you believe it? So let me give you a little bit of history of my origin story, if you will. Back in summer of '98, I was looking to purchase a digital camera that I was planning on taking with me down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And I bought the first magazine here. It's called Digital Photographer. You can see it, volume 1, number 1, summer of '98. In any case, in this magazine was an article about a company called IPIX, IPIX, and I'd never heard of it. And the camera that you see on your left was the camera that I purchased, kind of a whole kit for $2,000. And it just happened that I had received a credit card in the mail a couple weeks prior for, well, $2,000. And I thought, well, it's a sign. So this is the camera, and it's just I had to share. I mean, I still have the kit and everything, but I was just looking at the floppy disk adapter and the floppy disk. I mean, we're talking pretty big stuff, but in any case, if you look closely, 1.3 megapixels. I just, considering what we do now, it's just kind of crazy that, but hey, you got to start off somewhere, right? So, all righty. So just a couple more shots. Yeah, here you see it, 1.3 megapixel that, but this little camera. So let me step back for a second and just share that in 1998 I co-owned a home brewing supply store, and these people would come and buy beer brewing supplies from us. Anyways, I got to meet them and became friends with them, and they invited me down to the canyon, and that's why I got the camera and why I started shooting iPix photography. But the interesting part of that story is the fact that with this little camera here, after co-owning the home brewing shop, in 3 years, I made more money shooting one job with iPix than I did 3 years of owning a home brewing supply store. So kind of interesting there. Okay, then this is kind of a game changer for me, in the sense that so I got the camera in 98. I used it, for 2 years, and then they came out with a new camera. You can see an image here. It's called the Coolpix. And the imagery from this camera was 110 times percent higher than it can't go anyways, 100% better than the imagery I was taking with the Olympus camera. And I created this little CD-ROM. So CDs were really, really big back, and this is 2000. And anyways, I created these CDs and I sent them out to all sorts of different places. And one company in particular, and this is why I titled this a game changer, is that I was able to secure business with a company called Shell Vacations Club. And they were kind of like a timeshare, but it was a club thing. I mean, but in any case, they sent me around the globe multiple times. I got to go to Hawaii 3 times, fully paid, Canada, Mexico. Um, I mean, it was crazy. It was one of the best gigs. And the interesting thing, this is way before Google, but I was charging $300 per panorama, and no one was they're like, hey, that's great. And at the time, if you guys remember, we're talking like Java. I don't know if you guys know what Java is, but that was pre-Flash and obviously pre-HTML5. So these little Java windows were, about 4 by 4 inches. And but it was new, 360 photography. It just grabs your attention. They loved it, and they paid me well, and they paid all my expenses and put me up in some really great hotels and resorts. And so any case, this is where iPix is where I got my start until it didn't. So I'm gonna dun dun dun. So what happened with iPix is, for you guys who may have never heard of it before, and in fact, it's no longer even in business. They went out of business. But their whole approach to their photography was a proprietary system where you had to buy a digital key, and that key it was 25 bucks. So to shoot a picture and share it with someone is my cost 25 bucks. 25 bucks, 25 bucks, you know what I mean? So in any case, it was, it's really a bummer part about this. I wanted to just share on this for a second, is that basically from 1998 to 2009, before I met Bill Bailey here at Nodal Ninja, I was using iPix, and well, anyways, I don't have any of that imagery anymore. It wasn't compatible with today's kind of workflow. I can't even stitch those pictures together. It was a proprietary stitcher that they had. It was just I mean, basically, yes, it was awesome for what it was. It got me in the business. It got me fired up. I made a lot of money, but it's just unfortunate that I have nothing to show for those years. So just to kind of word to the wise as I was putting this slide together, um, or presentation, is just be careful where you do your business with, just things can change, kind of like what we saw with TikTok and CapCut. I mean, just businesses can go away, and if all your eggs are in one basket, you're kind of SOL like I am with iPic. So, anyways, fast forward 2009, I met Bill Bailey with Nodal Ninja, and I know this is kind of a funny photo here, but if you scan the QR code, you can see that it's a 360 from our trip to Iceland, and there's a lot of on the top floor. There's a lot of folks that you might be familiar with from Pana2 VR, and I know Daniel's in there. In any case, this is a shot. It was 3 stories looking down, and Bill Bailey had brought this huge, I don't know, 60-foot tripod and to Iceland, and he for so we shot 6 times around, and he got in every photo. So it's just kind of fun. So, anyways, I encourage you all to look at that photo. So, from after meeting Bill Bailey and getting myself a Nikon with a fisheye lens and a real camera that could shoot real tours, like the tours that we use today, I went to my first conference in another IVRPA event in Tucson, Arizona, and I never even, it's interesting being a big kind of 360 photographer. I'd never heard of IVRPA before, and I can't really remember why. Oh yeah, it was Bill. It was Bill Bailey. He asked me if I was going to the conference, and I said, "What conference?" And then he explained, "Oh, the IVRPA," and I'm like, I didn't even know. So I went down, and I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, so I'm, about 2 hours away. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go down. And I come down, and I remember I walked into the hotel, and then you'll see the gentleman here on the screen. His name is Charles Armstrong, and he had an iPad, and he's holding it up, and he's literally moving the iPad. I mean, I know we all do this now, and it was, but back then the first iPad came out, months before, and he's holding up the iPad and spinning around. And it's like I was just like my head just exploded. I'm like, this is it. I can sell this. This is amazing. And so in any case, I became good friends with Charles. And in fact, as you can see my card here, he asked me to join the team, and we started. I mean, I should say he started Tourist, but I told him about a project I'd been working on called CAZ 360, and this was pre-Google, and the concept was to basically, you have every state, or every city in Arizona would, have hotels, restaurants, dentist offices, etc. And so I started shooting tours based on this kind of map of Arizona, and then it really took off, and I was doing a lot of business for CAZ 360. And then when I met Charles Armstrong, I told him about it, and he asked me if I'd like to join the team to kind of bring this to well, basically to establish a photography network. So way before Google, but it was super exciting. And then until it wasn't. And then basically it's just kind of a bummer. Again, it was like, put all this time, and anyways, it was really great. But then Charles, they went a different direction. They went from Tourist to another platform, didn't really work. And then they got bought out by Google, and Charles took off, and then I was basically back to square one. So another kind of, like great story, but be careful what you invest in or where you move your tours, because actually here too, I had thousands of tours on Tourist, and then when they went out of business, all those tours had to be moved somewhere else, and those were like links, and it was a big mess. So just be careful where you host your tours. Okay, Google. We all know about Google. So give you a quick story about how I came to come to Google, but it was 2000 and it was 2011. I was out shooting. I'd done a deal with the city of Scottsdale, and there's a street called Fifth Avenue, and it's all art galleries and restaurants. And I did a deal with the city where I said, if you guys pay, my cost at the time, well, actually, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I was charging about $500, or it was $1,000 for a tour. But anyways, the city of city of Scottsdale paid me $500, and then the business would pay $500, and I would shoot this tour for CAZ 360, and it went on to the city of Scottsdale's business directory. It was very, very cool. It was great until it wasn't. And what happened is I was shooting a gallery where I was actually walking into the gallery with my camera, because they were scheduled to be shot that day. And the lady turned to me and she goes, "Oh, well, the guy was just here." And I said, "Huh?" And she said, "Yeah, the guy in the funny car, the yellow Volkswagen out there." I walk outside. Sure enough, there's a yellow Volkswagen that says Google Street View on the side. And anyways, it turns out that Scottsdale was a test. Um, what do you call it? Well, they're doing a test in Scottsdale, seeing if this would work. And it just happens that I'm shooting it. So needless to say, I was not very happy when I found out that I was now competing with Google on Google Business Photos, and well, even before the program, et cetera. So, any case, just a funny story about that. So, kind of jumping around here again, I did a quick stint with Bill Bailey at Nodal Ninja, working packaging boxes, selling selling the rotator heads for Nodal Ninja. In any case, I bring this up because I was belly aching about the fact that Google was taking on my business and kind of destroying my way of life, and how dare them. And I've been doing it longer than they have. In fact, my business is 3 months older than Google. And anyways, Bill Bailey finally just said, "Jeff, if you can't join them or you can't fight them, join them. Quit your belly aching, get out there. You're the best photographer I know. Go and do this." So in any case, I signed up for the Google business, or the trusted photography program. And I got in, it was great. In any case, the screen that we're looking at is the postcard I created, and the tour amount, so $4.99. In any case, you'll see in the right here a little schematic of a room. And anyways, this kind of came to me on my own, and the blue dots represented the 6 photos, the required photos for Google, and then the red dots, of course, that say 50 were additional photos for $50. Well, anyways, when I brought this postcard with me into these businesses and explaining what we're doing for Google, that hey, you're going to get your business on Google, and this is it's $4.99, and then any additional panorama thereafter is $50. Well, anyways, it was an easy sale. In fact, I use something similar to this now, but in any case, it is such a really great idea that you can show someone, say, in fact, I have the tagline on this postcard back then was advertising that makes the phone book obsolete. It was a great way to get my foot in the door. And anyways, from 2013, when I joined the program, to when it ended, I was a top photographer, getting all these, in fact, I got this sweatshirt for doing such a good job and stuff like that. But anyways, it was really a great program until it wasn't, because then they decided to pawn it off to to go third party. But anyways, let's click on. So cool. So talking more about these postcards. Well, Pano TVR is the slide name, but I want to share this because it's like, I tried all these things, I tried, iPix, and then it didn't work. I tried tourist until it didn't work. And then, I was and then when tours went out, I had, all these thousands of tours. Well, I needed to find a platform, and that platform is Pano2VR. And I think they're the best software company out there for us as panoramic photographers. They have longevity. They constantly update their program. And anyways, as you'll see at the top, I have a postcard here that, my sales platform or program or sales brochure. It was, it was all done, back then before I think the Flash ended in, boy, I'm just drawing a blank. But anyways, Adobe Flash went away, and then in its place came HTML5, and HTML5 has been the steadfast program for for showing virtual tours, and it just works so well now. And so in any case, I just want to share these postcards, but the fact that it was a big thing going from Flash to HTML5, but Pano2VR pulled it off, and pretty seamless process. So let's go on here. Okay, so what cameras do I use and what's the software? So my main camera used to be from 2013 till a couple years ago was the Nikon D5300. This camera, in fact, this camera is what I took to China and to Las Vegas, and or at least the one in Vegas, it was the 5100, but the 5300, and also it is red. Your eyes do not deceive you. I just thought red was more fun than black. So in any case, I had the Sigma 8 fisheye lens, the Nodal Ninja Ultimate R10 easy level, the Nodal Ninja Pole Series 1, which you could extend to 10 feet or 3 meters, and then I also had it on a I had a Nodal Ninja tripod adapter and then a Manfrotto, so I could actually go up about 15 feet with this thing, and it was amazing. And I did so much business with this, but the problem with this camera and why I've gone to another one is just that if it broke, you can't get another one. In fact, they don't even make this camera anymore. So I had to look for something else, and what I found was the Nikon ZFC. It's a very small camera. I'm using a Mikey 6.5 millimeter fisheye lens, and again the Nodal Ninja R1. I'm doing 6 images around, and I create the most amazing imagery with this little camera. And in fact, just for kicks, it all fits in this. Whoop, sorry. It all fits in this little case here. So I just kind of pull this out, but such a great camera and really fun to use, but just what a difference, So kind of geeking out with you guys. Hope you don't mind. All righty. All right, thank you. So next camera I use is the Ricoh Theta Z1. This little camera, and as we get to the kind of towards the how I make money and what I share with you, has really turned like when I first got this, I thought the images were kind of like, I mean, I definitely couldn't sell them back in the beginning when this camera first came out. But learning how to use it, and then actually a big thing that happened, Adobe Lightroom Classic came out with a really amazing denoiser. Works with AI, and it's really the only AI stuff I do at the moment. But it's so incredible that I can take these pictures in super low light, and primarily where I use this camera is to shoot restaurants. In fact, my niche, if you will, is the hospitality industry. I was a hotel restaurant management major, so it's in my blood. And I think that hotels, restaurants, they have the most to show for our type of work. So in any case, I was hanging out in a restaurant across the street, and had my, because I'm always carrying my Theta with me, And anyways, it was this time last year, it was cold on the patio. They had some heaters going, some fireplaces and stuff. So I snapped a couple of photos, and in any case, what I did is, because one of the things that, like, when I speak with restaurateurs when I'm out selling, is that, Google wants us to shoot the businesses without any people, or you have to, blur their faces. Well, I never really liked doing that, so I always would just always say, let's shoot it empty. But the aha moment that came up was when this new denoiser and I shot these photos. Well, I merged the live action photos, if you will. I mean, just, the people and the fire and everything into an existing panorama or tour that I shot for. It's called Los Sombreros. And and boom, it was just the coolest thing. And so any case, now I call it a blended tour. And it's my number one tour. And in fact, I have so much new business right now because people are excited to see, especially restaurateurs, they're excited to see their space empty for meeting planners, for, people who need to see, hey, our party would be, this is a great place for our party. But now they can see the space empty. And then as you click through it, I call it like Easter egg. So click on one, then you're into a space. And now it's full of people. The dining room's full of people. And there you can see on the patio, and people aren't having beverages. And it's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll move on. Just I get a little bit so excited. In fact, the excitement is good for my customers too. All right. So let's get into software. So I use Peachy GUI to stitch my panoramas. And by the way, I know not everyone will use all this stuff, but it's, my business is called, or in fact, my photography business is my 360 niche. And my upcoming YouTube channel is my 360 niche. And that's where I'm going to be kind of teaching, how to use all this stuff. But I believe that this software is the best to use. And you don't have to worry about third parties, producing or anyways, I don't want to run any more problems. Like, I host all my tours, I don't use any source to host my images. It's just basically on my own site. And then, I do share some photos on 360. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm jumping out, but so PT GUI, great to stitch with. Panos VR, obviously the best thing out there software wise for creating virtual tours. And then to the right, with the box, I want to share something else, but what I use this a lot is, I'll have a lot of times I'll go out in the field selling, right, which I call pounding the pavement, and I'd like to have my iPad with me. So if there's not an internet connection, no problem. I can share it. In fact, I sold a tour on an airplane once, heading to an event in Miami, in fact, shooting a hotel. And turns out I was sitting next to a guy at a restaurant there. I shot his restaurant because I had my iPad with me on the airplane with Garden Gnome's package viewer installed. And you don't need a connection. And it's just a beautiful thing. And then go through, of course, well, you can do Street View with Pano to VR, but the go through was the closest, the way I learned how to navigate tours in Google, what they call it, doing the constellation where you're connecting one panel to the other. Anyways, it was a tough thing, and go through had a perfect model of how that worked. And so I stuck with go through. $10 a month, you can't go wrong. $25 if you shoot more than 10 tours a month. And then Alan over there is a really great guy. And so I really like to support go through. And then of course we have Photoshop and Lightroom. And you can get these, a lot of people have been complaining about the, Adobe, monthly fee, all that stuff. But if you're shooting professionally and you're making money, I would stick with Photoshop and Lightroom Classic. It's just my personal opinion, but I love that software. Lightroom Classic, you got to have it for my Theta Z1, and Photoshop. I'm self-taught. I've been using Photoshop for 27 years, and I can't imagine ever going anywhere else. So, even if it's free, it's just I like having software that I'm accustomed to, and I know that they're going to be around for a long time. So, moving
Jeff,
on.
before you move on, I was going to pop in with a question that came up in the chat.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Alan Lloyd was asking, he's wondering how he can create an income. And since you had that in the slide, he's interested in producing for VR headsets. And so can you explain a little bit what the workflow of 360 to the VR headset looks like for you?
Well, so it is, that was in the slide. My understanding, in fact, I have my Vision Pro here. But in any case, you can technically, when you build the tour in Pano to VR, there is a section in there where you can actually, click it and it will save it for headset. I haven't actually done it myself yet. I mean, I have explored with it, but Pano to VR, I mean, I would get it and try it out, or try the demo version and try it out. But it really is just a matter of going through the kind of the software, and then clicking that you want to create a version for your headset. So and honestly, I haven't done it yet. I plan to. I've just been so busy getting ready for this presentation, and just also with clients in general. But I have seen it, and it's amazing. It is amazing, and I can't wait to spend some more time with it and create something. So maybe that would be another a good another thing for
A
an
webinar.
IVRPA webinar, and like how to do that. So
And we could discuss this a little bit further in the Q&A. I do this fairly often, so
oh, good.
it's fine.
Oh, okay. So yeah. All right. So in any case, my 3 strategies. All righty, good. And we're looks like I'm on track for time. So first of all, yeah, I didn't know how to basically put this other than typing it all out, but my first strategy is kind of like getting started. So, what do? I search a 5-mile radius from my home. It's amazing how many businesses and restaurants and everything is all around us. So you don't need to drive to another state. You don't need to drive, very far out of your way, unless someone contacts you and then wants to hire you. But there's so much business all around us. You just kind of have to grab your iPad, your computer, and go to Google Maps, and search and look at businesses, and I go, if I see a really cool restaurant, first thing I do is I go to the Google Maps listing, I go to photos, and I see if there's already a tour there. And if not, then I walk up. So anyways, let me just read these. But basically, so select a business that would benefit from having a Google tour of their space location, um, with an iPad or your phone, and this could be Android or whatever. But I'm an Apple guy. Ask to see the owner or decision maker. You don't want to talk to the person at the counter. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to set you right. So, and then sit down with them and kind of show them what you can do. And it really is kind of an amazing thing. And then when you have when they're receptive, and you can show examples. That's why I keep my iPad with me all the time. It sells itself. So, and then basically ask for them for a tour of the space. Okay. So I put a little clicker in here. I use this. I have a bunch of these. I have one in my car. I have one in my briefcase. I have them all over my house because I use these little clickers all the time. In fact, I just did gave a quote to a restaurant just a couple days ago, and I asked the manager on duty to give me a tour, and basically I had it in my palm, and it's like, okay, the 3 for Google, click, 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 and then you walk in, and then how I would connect this and click and click. Anyways, came out to 22 panoramas. And it just was a good way to then show the client, hey, this is how many pictures that are going to be required to shoot your virtual tour, et cetera. It makes it very easy, and especially when you're using the postcard combination, like how it works pricing wise. I just find that the clicker to be a really great part of my business. Okay, so again, yeah, this is the Google tour. So I've chose 360, even though I was getting 499 years before. I find that people they go, oh, 360 tour with the 360 guy, or just, whatever. It's just a funny kind of way, um, but it really works. And, and 360 bucks is a price point for a lot of small businesses that they can handle that, and that's a 16 tour. So if you're small mom and pop businesses, I mean, obviously I told you my niche is in the restaurant hospitality field, but I do a lot of business for small business. In fact, I shot on a Monday, I shot a rug. It's called Rug Works. They clean carpets and rugs that you bring in, and we did a complete walkthrough of the space, and then I used my theta. I was actually hoping to have it done for this, but um it'll be up on my website soon. So any case, so 360 bucks, you get 6 panoramas, and then the red dots here on the right show you the how I do it, and they're 100 bucks. And the reason they're 100 and not 50 anymore, because I actually had a client say, well, didn't you used to charge 50? Well, I don't know how many of you guys out there ever did the Google Trusted program, but when it was running, you would shoot all the pictures, upload the pictures to Google, and then Google would put them all together, and then you'd have to go in and moderate them and point them, everything like that. Well, when Google got out of the program, we now have to shoot all the panoramas ourselves, which I prefer because I can edit them, etc. And then I edit them. So I tell people, it's just like, well, yeah, it's $100, but it's a much better quality image than it was back in the Google day. So that seems to satisfy most people. So, all right. So again, additional panoramas, $100. And then I explained to them, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but the Google tour basically is the main tour. That is what you're selling. That's what everyone who's listening to this, if you want to make money doing this, if you're not doing it already, is that you should do Google Maps, because again, Yellow Pages of our time. Everyone needs to be listed on Google. You should have a virtual tour on Google. It's just it's so fundamentally easy, and it works. So get yourself a postcard, copy mine. I'm gonna do an update here, but it's a very easy sale. So all right. So strategy number 2. I call it a promote tour. So just kind of read this again. So you meet with the client once Google has published a tour, and kind of show them their new tour, and then compliment them on how nice it looks and how it'll bring new business over time. And then I like to explain to them that, how would you like to, take the marketing into your own hands, like putting this on your website. In fact, this is an interesting thing. When I started with Pano to VR, I love the fact that you could create the virtual tours and then have a tour that you could put on your website, so to promote yourself. But then I soon discovered that if I give these tours to clients, then they can put it on their websites. Well, a lot of them did not, because they're either A, didn't know how to put it on their website, or B, they're too small business, they didn't have a website. But so then I thought, why am I doing this for a client who's never going to use it? So basically my tour is 360 for 6 panoramas. Well, I like even numbers. So I'm charging basically to create, what I'm going to create anyway, so I can put this on my own website. I charged $140 to make this, and I call this the Google Promote Tour. And it's great to call it that, because I encourage my clients, I'm like, okay, I shot you this tour, it's on Google, now you can put it on your website. And then also you can take that link and you can text it to people. And then also I offer ready Facebook panoramas, another feature through Pano to VR, where you can create, it's called a share file, and you can, just drop that right onto Facebook, the desktop version, and it works every time. And as people are scrolling through their phones stuff, nothing pops like a 360 on Facebook. So it's just another, and I charge $10 to create that. And again, I used to give that to free for my clients, but a lot of them wouldn't use it. So I'm like, why am I doing this extra work if the client isn't engaged in their own business? So I'd rather put a price point to it, and then people, will use something that they're paying for versus something free they never use. So anyways, just a little tip there. So All right. So this is I did a promote tour here a couple weeks ago. Again, QR code. Um, this is Little O's in Arcadia. It's a little breakfast shop. The shot it empty, and then came back, and here we go. The second slide. My strategy number 3 is to uh, meet with the client again, show them the 360 tour, how to add it to their website. I kind of help people with that. And then I also explained to them, like, well, now that we've shot your imagery, for Google, nothing in there. Now I can come back, especially for restaurants, you know, um, I'll say, hey, we can shoot some photos of people, So anyways, I upsold Little O's on an event tour. So we shot the whole place empty, and then I shot a wedding reception that was there, and there's some photos down here. And they just went crazy for it. And in fact, I have stats on my tours. This event tour, let's see, I published this in early December, and it's just blowing up. And the lady who I work with over there was telling me that their sales numbers have just gone off the charts, basically, for people renting the space. And I know they are, because they're looking, the tour gets viewed like 30 times a day. So this stuff really works, and it's really exciting to show with the client. And as you can tell, my excitement of what I do, they see it. They're like, "Oh my God, I want to do it. Let's do an event tour," and so in any case, that's kind of the secret sauce here, I guess, is the blended 360s, is to have, the best of both worlds, an empty restaurant for Google, and then adding in little, shots of, people enjoying themselves. It just changes the whole feel of the tour, and I think makes the tour even more appreciated and wanted, and it makes my sales, um, it's just, again, I mean, I've got like 3 businesses, this week that I'm going to be doing. So I think we're coming to an end. We are. So thank you for watching. Hopefully I wasn't too crazy jumping all around and stuff. I just get so excited about what I do. And I'm just excited to finally kind of pass the torch to all you guys. And anyways, let's open this
Can I
up.
hop in with questions? Yeah. So
Yeah,
some from the
yeah.
chat. Ron P is asking, do you use HDR? And if so, what software do you use for that?
So well, I bracket my images. So to answer your question, so with my Nikon ZFC, I have I do 5 brackets, and then I shoot 6 times around. So I'm shooting 30 images for every 360 that I'm creating. So basically brackets I mean, I know there's an HDR setting. I don't use HDR, but I do bracket my photos. And the way I bracket is, in fact, I learned this from working with this company that had hired me for a photo shoot. They're like one of the third-party vendors and stuff. But they had me go from, so like when you're bracketing, when you set up your camera on any camera, it usually goes like baseline 0, and then and it goes dark, dark, and then bright, bright. So, you have 5, so any case, they had me switch that around, and I've been doing that ever since. And wow, it's just game changer for me, for my photography. But you basically, you set, so you see your brackets, you reverse it in your camera. All the cameras do it. And then you go into a space, and it took me a long time to wrap my brain around how it's going to work. But you expose it, to the point where you can just see just barely anything in the first shot. And then the second shot, a little bit more, the middle shot, the baseline, you can kind of see it, and then higher and higher, versus the opposite way. But in any case, I'd be happy to show anyone if you guys want to, message me or something. But the results are phenomenal. It's so much easier to add light than it is to take it away. And I get perfect windows. It's just, again, it's just like being there. It's the most amazing way to shoot panoramas for me. And I don't believe it's HDR, but it is done through bracketing. So
And are
hopefully
you
that helps.
processing those in Lightroom, or how do you process your?
Well, so anyway, I'm processing them. So I workflow is, shoot it first, bring them into PT GUI, play around with well, I don't know if it's, I guess in there, it's HDR settings. They also have fusion settings, but I tend with the HDR, and then I'll, tweak that in there, and then I'll export that from there, and then I'll bring it into Photoshop, and then I'll play with the some of the sliders anyways, it's easier to show you than tell you, but
Actually, I'm thinking HDR, however it's done, there's several approaches, would be an excellent webinar for us to
Yeah,
put.
that would be awesome, especially comparing the in-camera ones versus the bracketed like Jeff's doing. That's really cool. And there's multiple ways to process. Someone just commented PT GUI has an HDR where you can throw them in and it'll process. I do mine in Lightroom. Yeah, there's a bunch of ways. That's cool. Okay, next
Yeah.
question. Marco is saying, if I'm starting and don't have anything to show, no portfolio, what do you do? How do you get started when you don't have a history of built up work?
Great question. Well, first of all, do you have a camera? So that's the first step. Assuming that you do, and it doesn't have to be, fancy yet, but what I would say is to go out and offer your services for free. And a good area, here, a big reason why I like to shoot for restaurants is because, in fact, I offer all my restaurants a 50% trade because their margins are so slim. So, I'll do, so if the tour's $1,000, I'll charge them $500, and then I'll do 500 in gift cards. So what you could do, is you could go to a restaurant or just any business and say, hey, I'd like to shoot a complimentary tour for you for experience. And maybe, if they have something for you in return. So if it's a restaurant, hey, maybe dinner, dinner for two or something like that. Or if you don't feel comfortable asking for something because you're just starting, then basically do it for free. But that's you got to learn it somewhere, and that's kind of where I started. I mean, I was just so excited that you could shoot 360 photos back in the day that I shot everything. And then when I started getting good at it, I started charging, and then of course the rest is history. So just
Another option is to find nonprofits in your area. They don't have money, but they, depending on the nonprofit, would have use for something like this. And you can feel good about donating your work for free and building your portfolio.
that's a great idea.
That's cool. Okay, next one. Eugen wants to know, what camera are you using right now?
Well, again, the Nikon ZFC and the Ricoh Theta Z1. But the main one that I shoot for Google is the Nikon ZFC. So basically, I don't know if I'm still being, I can't see anything, but anyways, this is the camera that I'm using. In fact, this camera right here is less than a Ricoh Theta Z1 lens and all.
And what lens did you say you had on that one?
This is a Mikey 6.6. I'm going to have in fact, I kind of listed the specs on that slide, but anyways, I wanted to come up with a camera that would be, good for a beginner, but it would also, create really positive results. And this little camera, I mean, it's fun and small, and the imagery is amazing. So and again, less than $1,000.
Hey, Jeff, why don't you take the slide off the screen so we can see your
Oh.
big, beautiful face? Stop sharing, in other words.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then how good is the resolution of your Nikon?
Um, I think that's relative. Are you asking like how many megapixels?
I don't know. That was what the question says. We also have, what do you think about photogrammetry advances and how to make next steps for this for tours? That could be a
That's a
whole
big,
webinar also.
That is going to be a
that,
webinar.
That's
yeah, I was
coming
going to
up.
say that,
Turn on.
that's a big word.
That's it. Yep. That's a great, I also have a question that I figure needs a little bit more research because it's a very specific output, but the 360 data from your Ryko Theta Z1 for a DWG output for AutoCAD or Revit because he's an architect. That's from
Uh,
Steve.
so I don't do anything in that field. Any of you guys on the board?
No, but I noted it. We can look it up.
Okay, cool.
Okay, the pixels question, the resolution for your Nikon, they want to know what the pixels on the long side of your processed piano is.
Uh,
For, yeah, 30 images or whatever. Yeah, what's your resolution
right.
on your image?
And I can tell you.
The maximum for Google is 14K.
Yeah, let me just pull up. So that's a good question because I was shooting, or have been shooting for a gentleman out of Pennsylvania with my D5300, and and I shot some stuff with my Nikon ZFC, and he said, "Hey, the resolution is smaller." And I was like, but the image quality is better. But anyways, let me just pull up a shot I did here just last week, and I can tell you what the resolution is. So it's 9,660 by 4,830. And then resolution is 300. Was that good?
Sure, that looks good. I think that wraps up our questions. We've got a lot of comments. And then if I think that this could be a really great subsequent post on Facebook. So if anybody has questions for Jeff, I think it'd be cool to have a thread that like answers these things. It's on Facebook and we can go back. Yeah, and some slides from your show, from your demonstration, like they're asking about the Nikon again to see the configuration. So we'll share some of these slides maybe separately and post on Facebook and answer more questions and continue this conversation because it was really good.
Cool. All righty. Well, that was fun. So I appreciate everyone for
Oh, I am
for
gonna share
oh,
all of your in the chat because people want to get a hold of you. And so
I love to answer questions about this stuff
yep,
because
I'm
again,
sharing his website, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So there you go. Reach out to Jeff.
oh, and so thank you again for everyone. And I just want to say, I learned like, people along my journey helped me out tremendously. Like, so yeah, happy to answer questions, even if we want to chat or something like that, or if you need some help with any sort of editing, things like that. I'm here to help you out. So
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. This was a very, very entertaining and enlightening presentation.
thank you.
I will say, one of the things that I liked about what you did is you make real clear to your prospective clients how to visualize what a Google tour would be and how it can be expanded or whatever. I know when I go in, for instance, and well, how much will this cost? Well, then I have to explain how much are you going to want, and they say I don't know, and so it's that postcard that gave that demonstration was a brilliant idea.
Yeah, that postcard or those postcards throughout my tenure have made me, well, a lot of money. So yeah, they basically sell themselves. In fact, they're so big. In fact, I wonder if I even have one. I call it the giant postcard that you oh well,
Caleb Bailey is asking, can you share a pitch?
Oh, yeah, when you go in, give us a demo pitch.
Well, yeah, so I walk in with my iPad. Oh, first of all, so I'm outside, I'm walking down in fact, I call it pounding the pavement. So I'm pounding the pavement and I come across a new restaurant that opened up, and then I go to my Google Maps. I'm like, okay, they're brand new, they don't have any 360s already. So it's the perfect thing. So I walk through the door and I have my iPad in my hand on, ready with an example. So if it's a restaurant, for instance, I'll, have a restaurant, tour on my iPad, and then I'll go in and ask to, speak with the owner or decision maker. And then of course you're identifying yourself as a salesperson. And then they're like, okay. And then a lot of times they'll be like, well, let me go check if they're there, So what I'll do in the meantime is I'll show the employees or people who are there, and I'll show them, hey, check out this. Isn't this cool? That you could do this for a restaurant, and they're like, oh my gosh. And I even had one gal, when our manager came out and said, I don't think we need this. She goes, no, no, Bob, we need this. Look at what he's doing. We could get people into our restaurant. Look at, and Bob hired me to shoot the tour because of the waitress who was really excited to see it. So in any case, it's just a matter of show and tell is probably the best way, because buying is an emotional thing. And if you can show someone their space, especially after you're done. So, after you shoot the Google tour, that's where I find where I get my most business is I bring in the Google tour. I show them, hey, look at it. It looks great, but you want to take it a step further. Would you like to do some of your own promotion? So there's, and anyways, as you do this, you'll kind of learn what people want. And it's a lot easier to get past no's when you're holding something in your hands. Oh, and another great point too, is I do this all the time, is if one business does it, then I'll, I can't wait, because then I'll go out and I hit up the business next door and say, hey, in fact, I did this for I shot this light shop, and then I went next door to this framing shop, and I showed the framing shop what I did for the light shop, and the frame guy was like, oh, well, we got to do it too. If he did it, I want to do it. And then I went over to the pet grooming place next door, and I said, well, look what I did for these two businesses. And then like, oh, well, we want to do it too, So having the iPad in your hand and showing the business that you've shot, you know, it just sells itself.
I think too, to add to that, like you had talked about at the beginning, like doing this for fun and finding your passion. When you walk around with a 360 camera, everybody's interested in what you're doing. And
Oh
that
yeah.
have gotten jobs like that as well, right? Like where you carrying around the camera just for fun at an event, and all of a sudden people are like, well, I want to buy that picture. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then you also get known as the Google guy, or just the 360 guy, or whatever you want to be called. But you do, when you do present yourself to the world like that, a lot of business kind of comes your way, because people are like, oh, I know this guy, and um, so again, it just
You do stand out in the crowd.
Another approach is to, for instance, I shot an Oriental rug company. And, once I found one that would do it. So we got them on, and then I went to all of his competitors and said,
There
look
you go.
what your competitor is doing. Don't you want to have that same advantage?
Yeah, it works. The fear of missing out, or FOMO. So yeah, everyone they don't want to be left out, but yeah, that's a great way. And again, it just requires, you need the content. So the more content you can shoot, either for free, for charity work, you need to get going at doing it. But then, and again, that Panel VR with the package viewer that doesn't require an internet connection is the best. Yeah, that has got me so much business when I've been, out of a range of having a good cell signal, or whatnot. So I recommend that as well.
Okay.
All good?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so to those attendees remaining, I thank you very much for attending. I trust that you got something worthwhile out of it since you're all still here. Um, and look forward to other webinars that are coming along the way. Uh, Within our library of webinars, we have two other ones that focus on selling. One has a different approach to what Jeff is doing, where they do a lot of email marketing and have proven to be successful in that way. So there are multiple approaches. Um, like I said in the beginning, we are here to help you guys be more successful creatively in your business in any other way that we can. And that's what IVRPA is all about. I hope you, if you're not already a member, will consider joining. It really is a great value. Thank you again, Jeff, for your presentation. This has been great.
Thank you.